All right, so hey, welcome back to another episode of the Overland Bonfire Podcast, hosted by Blue Ridge Overland Gear, because we work there and he owns the place.
That's what they tell me.
Yep. And I'm Rick.
I'm Logan.
I'm Matt.
And first of all, we are going to have our extensive Hall of Fame list ready for the next episode. And I say that because I made
we keep saying that.
And we had a plan for how we were going to display this, but we may have to
edit our plans slightly.
Yeah, reevaluate. There were 25 of you that either messaged us on Instagram, made a comment on Instagram, made a comment on YouTube, and I went through and compiled, or let us know in person, a couple folks, compiled that list and was like, wow, not gonna lie, I did not expect that number. So
no, yeah, me neither. I really thought it was both of you.
yeah.
I mean, maybe if you send me the list, I'll just throw some cheesy graphics up here.
Oh, there we can superimpose. Yeah.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
That
would
be
like
for this one, a placeholder until we have the permanent.
Right. Yeah. So remember, don't like, subscribe, comment, do something, and if you don't like it, you can turn it off now because we don't want to waste your time any more than we already have.
Yeah, but I like that. Yeah, cheesy elevator music and like a quick scroller of the.
Yeah, we just do a ticker across the top for the duration of the whole podcast.
That's what we're lucky to have Logan folks.
Yeah, it's way more exciting than I would have ever gotten. So look for your name. Starting
before you keep going with that, are you hearing us? Because I'm not hearing us.
Oh,
check.
Test. Okay, so we're back from our technical difficulties. The gremlin has been dispatched. So today we are going to talk about something a little heavier than our normal topics, I guess. Matt voted for politics, but we only have so much SD card space. So instead, we're going to talk about why we do what we do. And I mean that in terms of like our own individual roles, what draws us to this, and stuff like that. Maybe give you a little bit more of a behind the scenes. And from a philosophical standpoint, I don't know, motivational standpoint.
Oh, geez, I don't know about motivational. I mean, my crayons are sharp, my box is full. Let's do this.
Okay, yeah. So, Matt, since you are head honcho, your cards, your business cards say Bagzar. Do you want to lead off, or do you want me to lead off?
I probably do the least amount of important work here. Sure, why I do it?
That's an untruth. We'll have the misinformation tab.
Yeah, no, that's probably not an untruth. Why? It's simple. I like to make stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy the practice of seeing something come to life and then seeing it built and then seeing it used. I mean, I hate to say it's not much more to it than that, but that's the reality. I figured out a long time ago. That's where I get my fulfillment is, like I said, seeing something kind of come from idea or taking ideas and kind of mashing them together and coming up with something completely new. And I enjoy that part of it more than I do anything else. And then seeing that get put to use by people who are actually, going to put it to work is what I think is interesting. I like the idea of things that aren't disposable. I like the idea of things that, have some long-term value that provide value for people over a long period of time or potentially even generational as far as usability goes. I think that's just kind of what I appreciate.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, for those of you that may not know, like Matt, this is not his first business that was based around making things for hard use.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So obviously, there's tons of companies that make stuff and it starts small and it eventually either gets bought up by somebody else or goes overseas, offshore. We've seen it in the soft goods world a lot in the last 5 years, at least maybe just
probably more than that, but
5 to 10 years. The companies I pay attention to, a good chunk of them went that direction. Kind of what's your motivator? Because people may think like, well, it's easier. Well, no, like the easy thing to do is to go offshore and then you charge the same amount of money for something that's way cheaper to make. So what's your motivation for like keeping it here? Because for example, Blue Ridge Overland Gear is coming up on 12 years-ish in existence.
Yes, I don't know, something like
that.
And
it's never been outside of a 10-mile circle, right? Like
everything in my life, at least, is about attempting to be a good steward of insert whatever it is, right? So if it's a good steward of my time, it's a good steward to my family, it's a good steward of the money, it's a good steward of the labor that we have here. Like, how do we, being a good steward to the community, like, how do we impact that stuff as much as we can while we're on the planet, right? So it all really becomes about, for me, is kind of about stewardship, honestly. And all cool things started in a garage. I mean, there's a pretty good commercial about that I've always sort of believed is true. And we started in a shed not much bigger than the building we're in now.
Yeah. You moved to the garage, right?
Yeah. I upgraded to a garage. I started in a 20 by 24 like shed that I had built in the backyard over the course of about 6 months, and and then we moved a few times into here. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the going overseas. Um, I honestly don't. I may joke about that a little bit. If companies are making good quality products
Right,
and they're using offshore labor, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. The thing for me is the speed at which we can do new things. Like that's a longer process, right? So if you come up with a design, you have it, you get tech packs made, or you make tech packs for it, you send it overseas, you get sampling done, you go back and forth, you get a production run, you put it on a boat, it comes over here. I mean, like all of a sudden that's a 5 to 6 month process to see the end product a lot of times. And that sounds really boring to me.
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
I like to be able to, I have an idea, Monday it's, kind of sketched rough, maybe a little better by Tuesday. By Wednesday, there's parts cut. By Thursday, I've halfway sewn something together, or somebody's sewn something together, or somebody sketched somebody's put the parts in the computer, and based off of, some sketch that I made, watching NCIS or something at night. And, and then we kind of refine it from there, because you can go from zero to legitimate product in 3 weeks if you really want, if you really push hard, or less if you're really grinding on it. And I enjoy that part of it. That's the part I like the most. So that's kind of where that's at. And I mean, like I said, I think there's a place for offshore manufacturing on sort of developed products that are down the road and you've got information on. And so I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I do think there's just so much junk being made that you have to really be careful of that. I think companies really have to be careful of that. Like, I don't begrudge, Mystery Ranch is a good example of this, right? It just bought by Yeti, but Mystery Ranch US still has a US made product line, has then taken part of their stuff offshore, but it's still all made really nice. I mean, it's well done. It's still a buy once, cry once project. Even their offshore stuff is super nice. And so that model doesn't really get me cranked up. It's the, build junk, throw a different color on it, kick it out to Asia, have it in the landfill in 6 months because it's out of fashion. That's what I don't particularly appreciate. The stewardship piece there is important, and like I said, being able to repair stuff, or being able, I think it's easier to take care of customers when everything's based here. But I don't, again, all that for me becomes stewardship. It's better for our community if we can employ local people. It's again, environmental impact is less, and not that I'm not, I'm a long way from an environmentalist for sure. As far as that goes, but I mean, again, I want to be, we own a lot of dirt, and I want my kids to have, we farm a little. I want my kids to be able to do that down the road well. And, so I mean, it's like, you don't want to mine the ground. You don't want to, I want to actually farm it and not mine it. And I want to, do right by that stuff. And I think that's where if everybody's sort of thinking like that, I think most of the problems you've got just go away.
Yeah, no, that was great. And we'll circle back. Logan, you've worked here the least amount of time. I know the least about you. My PI has been following you, but hasn't really come up with anything good. So I don't know if I can have any coaching questions for you. But what draws you to this kind of work? Because I know you've got experience.
What is this kind of work? Because he's kind of the video guy, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I was gonna say, you've got experience across a wide variety of video and production work, but obviously something.
Yeah.
You're still here, and it's like 3 or 4 weeks, right?
I really think of myself for a long time as a storyteller more than anything. And that's kind of there was a moment in time when I feel like that was kind of like a trendy, cool thing to say.
Yeah.
But I really do feel that way about myself, because I grew up taking photos and then in college started doing video stuff. I mean, I did some video in high school too, but
I heard
it-
there's a movie.
yeah, there's. I made
Can't,
a,
like, we're
made
gonna
a
have a
short
viewing.
film.
We're
Wait,
gonna
wait.
have a
We
viewing. We're
actually
really
found
excited
out.
about it.
What? So let's just time out on the field. It's a small world after all, because yesterday we were heading over to Matt's house to do some video, and we kind of took a back route. So we went by my house, and Logan's like, "Oh yeah, right here is where I shot a short film."
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds like a trendy thing, but I love books. Like I'm a big reader. I like the brands that I'm drawn to tend to be brands that have stories. Like usually if I'm a repeat buyer from something, it's because I like their product and I like what they're doing or
Yeah,
who
I
they
appreciate the story.
are.
Yeah.
And so yeah, for me it's like even when I'm not doing video, it's like I like to write. I play music, but I like, singer songwriter kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
no, me
story
too.
songs.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that.
And so yeah, that's where it starts for me. And then the fact that I just started from a young age using a camera is kind of like that's just my tool to do that most often.
Yeah, yeah.
I do other things, but that's my tool to
Well, hopefully
tell
we can keep
stories.
you in stories. That's the
yeah. And that's actually one of the things that draws me to doing it is I think there's a lot of people who are interesting people who the only way that anyone else will hear about them is video. I mean, it could be an article you could write about them, whatever,
Yeah.
but from time working like nonprofits and things like that, you meet someone somewhere and you're like, oh man, I wish everyone could hear this. And then, well, you can do that.
You
with
can
the
make
camera.
that happen.
You can make that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Your crayons are pretty sharp today too. That's good.
Yeah. And speaking of storytelling, Logan's working on a project that maybe by the time, well, no, this podcast is going to pretty quick turnaround.
I checked for your name at the top of the screen. The scroller should be going back.
Yeah. Can feel like the news, like I feel like it's like NFL draft.
Ticker.
You know?
Yeah. That's good.
So Logan's working on a really cool project to kind of like, behind the scenes at Brog and the evolution of Brog and things like that. There's a very abbreviated version, but like the early draft is looking really cool. So, yeah. Well, then, so for me, that I feel like that was a good segue with the storytelling because that is a big thing that I feel strongly about. When I was kind of like preemptively thinking about this because I came up with the topic. That's what happens. You come up with the topic, you get to think about it longer.
When you're guiding the podcast, you get to preemptively strike all your
These guys
all
found
the
out
conversation. We're like
about an hour ago.
Yeah.
So, I guess for me, like why I do what I do here at Brog comes from a couple of different angles. One, I do feel strongly about American manufacturing. That has definitely strengthened over the last few years. I don't know if you just paid more attention to it, things like that. And part of it, I guess when you're young, American manufacturing stuff usually costs more. And when you're, in college, fresh out of college, still was interested in those things, but it was just harder to commit. But like, my dad from building homes to now like in furniture building, has worked in manufacturing almost my entire life. And so I've known a lot of people through his work that were making stuff that people were using or sometimes literally living in. And then, also I think for me, I met Matt in 2014. So like Brog was going.
Yeah, but
on a small scale.
We would have been in the garage then.
Yeah. I think
that would have been garage.
The first time we met,
frame.
you had your 100 series and 2 8-foot tables.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And a small trailer.
Yeah.
A little tiny trailer that I was probably sleeping in.
Yeah.
Like cargo trailer. When I say trailer, like a cargo trailer. Yeah.
I think the second time I met you is when you had the biggest rooftop tent. Still the biggest rooftop tent I've ever seen.
Yeah, 2 ladder probably on the probably on the 100.
Yeah. 2 ladders. I mean, like because it was essentially 2 tents they just cut a wall out of and connected them. Like it was massive.
It's big. Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. I have always been kind of a soft goods nerd. I don't even know how that started.
You're way more of a honestly way more of a soft goods nerd than I am.
Like sometimes I wonder, when I was a kid, the little GI Joes, they're what 4.5, 5 inch tall, were really big, and all those guys had cool backpacks. So maybe that's why
that's where
it was ingrained in me that having a cool backpack was like step
one.
Yeah.
Step 1, need cool backpack.
Yeah.
Step 2, become cool.
Yeah. Step 3, success.
Step 3.
So like I know this sounds like goofy, but like growing up, like in high school, I remember it's one of the things like mom and dad bought it for me because I'm sure I didn't have the money for it because this was probably before I could drive. like getting a Camelback backpack that was like a nice day pack.
Yeah.
When Camelback was still pretty new, but getting into the actual like day pack scene. And
Yeah.
I used that thing for like 8 years and finally passed it on to a younger friend of mine. So yeah, soft goods nerd.
Yeah, to the extreme. You were my point of reference for, hey, have you ever seen one of these before?
Yeah.
Who makes this thing?
I'm amongst my circle of friends, not uncommon, but to give you guys an idea, there's a couple of like 20 some odd year old backpacks that I have bought multiples of because they were dead stock. Just because they came from different generations of when there was a particular model being made by a particular brand.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like you are the bag nerd of bag nerds.
The problem is I don't hold on to anything, so I usually flip them like 2 years later.
Yeah,
I'm like,
keep them for a little while.
I find another bag nerd that really wants a 20-year-old dead stock XYZ with, oh, this one has the tan buckles. Chorus of Heaven opens up behind you. Yeah. So, and then for a long time, I mean, everything's relative, right? So I'm 37. So like for 11 years, I worked in an environment very much not like this. We didn't produce anything. It was all kind of like non-tangibles, and it also took forever to get anything done. I'm gonna like maybe tell on Matt a bit here. I think Matt had offered me a job like 3 times.
At least, I'm sure.
Maybe 4.
For sure I've there's been a minimum of a text or
like
hey,
came to my
what are you
house
doing?
one time, which was 250 miles away.
Yeah. I mean,
Like yeah.
Hey,
that was a pretty hard campaign on that one, actually.
yeah, I've made a couple good runs at it.
Yeah. And
when you find people you want to work with, you know.
Yeah, and then in I guess that would have been 20. Man, I'm really bad at math.
22.
Fall of 22. Saw him at an event where I would usually see him, a couple times throughout the year. And he made another spiel, kind of in a, sitting around the fire at night. It was like, yeah. And then you text me like 2 days later. I was like, no, for sure, serious this time. Hey, what's it going to take? And I was like, all right, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I don't look any horses in the mouth because I don't trust them. But
they have teeth.
Yeah, they have teeth. They're unpredictable. They can hurt you real easy. Yeah. Yeah, and so Brandy was ready for a change too.
I think that was the big kicker. Was Brandy was finally ready to?
Yeah. She was in a field that she'd liked for a long time, but kind of in the same place I was in. Was like ready for a change, and yeah. So yeah, and
I totally remember the meeting that I texted you from.
Oh,
because we were literally sitting in there talking about options for the position, for what we needed, and we're going through it, and and Jason, who's our graphics guy, does a lot of the website stuff, was like, "Oh, that's Rick Stowe," and I'm like, "Yep, that's Rick Stowe. That's actually Rick Stowe and Brandy. We actually need Brandy more than we need Rick."
Yeah. As is usually the case. Yeah.
So then I'm like, they're like, "Oh, that'll never work," and I'm like, "We're gonna find out right now."
Yeah.
I just quietly was like, maybe, I don't know. Let's see if today's the day.
Yeah, and I remember getting the text because once again, I was at a school I hadn't been at very long, and we worked A team and B team, and so I was sitting in the end of a building that may have had 4 other people in it when it was designed to have 50.
Right.
And that was one of the things that was kind of driving me crazy. Was just like I was still able to do my job, but just like the day-to-day interaction. And I'll bring this back around to Brog in a second. Wasn't there, and it was like, oh, and I mean, this was like on a Tuesday, and you and I had talked.
It was 100%. It was a Tuesday at 10 o'clock because it was during a 10 o'clock Tuesday meeting,
and I was talked on like a Friday.
Yeah. And I literally just texted a number.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I remember being like, oh, I think so. Let me check. Hey, babe. He's pretty serious this time. Like,
you want to move to Virginia?
Yeah. And
I've got you a job.
Yeah, that was like October. We came up for your birthday, which was like the
January.
End of December.
We did it. We did it right around New Year's, I guess.
Yeah, and then we came up again. I mean, because I think it was pretty much a done deal. We came up again in like February. Then we were up here in March. So,
I moved out in March. Yeah, because it's just been 2 years now.
Yeah. Like I think last week, like it was the 20th or 21st or something like that. So, and that's one thing. Not that anybody that works at that school listens to this podcast. If you do, drop a comment. But I liked it there. Cool people, but I was like, literally, I was working 10-hour days. I may see 5 people in 10 hours. And for those of you that don't know me, actually, maybe let's start. For those of you that know me, that's not how Rick works. Like, so it was like, I love here where, if I've got a question for Cam, I can see if Cam's at my desk at his desk from my desk. You know? Like, there's nowhere or no one that you can't go talk to and ask somebody something or
Absolutely.
double check something in 30 seconds, So, yeah. And then too, like, I guess for me, a big part of it, I always tell people, like, all I do here is just try to help us sell more bags. And the basis for that for me is so that, we can keep doing what we're doing. Cause we got a team of local folks, that come here and this is the day job. And, not that I'm super overlandy, but there's definitely people here that like never really think about what our bags are used for,
For sure.
Yeah. Cause it's not their thing. And I get that, but I try to be that bridge between, what we're doing and who we're trying to get to.
Yeah, who we're talking to.
Yeah, so. Well, hey, thanks for making it this far. Thanks to the dedicated crew. We will keep adding to that list. So if you made it to the end, let us know.
Check the ticker because your name could have been up there already.
The decoder ring is coming, but it is going to have to be more intricate than we initially thought because this is growing out of control. So
we expected to make 2 decoder rings.
Yeah, now we need 25 at least.
Yeah, so our decoder ring.
Matt and I have a very long drive coming up. We will hash some of that out.
Yeah,
we've got about 30 hours on the road.
Oh God, don't say that out loud.
This has been another episode of
if you've made it to the end,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. You need to make better life choices. Because I'm not sure why we made it this long.
Same. All right, we done.